background?
No. And hello.
Okay. Hello, Baron.
Hi.
Welcome back to the merciful fruits of God's word.
Yes, first podcast. So we had a
So we're
conversation now, and we just want to like go forth with it, and like
just talk. All we're
yeah,
doing now is just
yeah,
talk.
we are just talking, and maybe we find, or you find something interesting out of our conversation.
So what were we talking about, Baron? We were discussing.
Uh,
Oh, Noah being
yeah,
Noah being a
about
drunk.
about Noah's genetical purity not having anything to do with who he is as a person. Because if you read the stories, like he's not a good person. The only accomplishment that he did in the book was just like building a boat, and after that he was kind of useless.
Yeah, he disappeared. No one heard of him anymore. He's still important. It's just
Yeah, I mean he's Noah. That's the
Oh,
important
another
thing
thing
about.
about that. We since we're talking about Noah, we talk about let's see. It's yeah. Since we talk about Noah, let's talk about the beginning of before the boat, right? No, he had we were talking about Canaanites as well, where the Canaanite came from,
Yeah,
and in it, I was wanting to tell you that if you go to that story of the boat and being built, you notice in the Torah that a woman and a her brother are mentioned from Cain, and his name is Tubal Cain and Nama. And Tubal Cain and Nama are mentioned specifically because they are also part of the storyline that Moses or Noah would have got inside the boat. So Nama and her brother as well helped Noah build the boat and became slaves to Noah. And Nama was on the boat. So when Noah got drunk, as it says, when Noah woke up drunk, he saw what his younger son had done. It says in the story, they say that his sons walked backwards to cover their father's nakedness, right?
yeah.
Now, when you read it, we've discussed it before, so you already know the real meaning, but a lot of people don't know the real meaning of that. So they will think that the sons grabbed the actual blanket and walked in and put it over their father. Like Noah was drunk walking around naked all day. Come on,
Yeah.
really? But that's what the story would be like. Why is the man naked laying in his tent for? That doesn't make sense, first of all. So let's
Yeah.
analyze this story and make some sense out of it. That would be reality. So the
I mean,
reality would be if we go to
what I
the
heard,
dude.
once is like that the nakedness of Noah is like a metaphor about um, that his son, like seeing the nakedness of his father is like seeing the like having
Sex.
yeah, like yeah, is having
Yeah.
control over the objects of the father, or like seeing the true form of the father, like not only as a father figure but also as a human and stuff.
Well, the terminology of nakedness has to do with sex. It's all sex. Nakedness is the
Yes.
slang. Like we would say in our terminology, we would use
Yeah,
the F
but
word.
nakedness is not only sex, because like we don't only cover ourselves because we like don't like to see them as naked. We also cover ourselves to protect ourselves. So it's not only about sex but
Right.
also about protection. And that's what I also
Well,
heard.
in the context of the story, it's
Yeah.
sex. Even in the beginning, if you look at the beginning of Adam and Hawa, they were born naked. They were naked. It
Yeah.
even says they were naked. And when they understood that they were naked, it's
Yeah.
not that they were. It says that God, when they figured that they were naked, God had to make skins for them
Yeah, but
or
yeah,
clothes.
but
Hold on.
also because the do you hear me? Yeah, but because they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
naked, because they understood they were naked, they not only understood that they were naked, like literally, but they also understood their vulnerabilities. Like you need to cover yourself because like. And you're staying on 2 feet, so like when animals they don't cover themselves because they don't need to. You don't see them all the time naked, and they have like cover fur and stuff.
Yeah, they have
And
hair.
but they also they're easy parts to hit and stuff, like the sexual parts, which are the most vulnerable parts of humans. They are covered by like by being on 4 feet. but humans don't have that. We are like openly showing it. So also this is why.
Well, the only time you're naked is when you're doing what?
Yes, but I mean not. This is.
No, no. The only time you're naked is when you're cleaning yourself,
Yeah.
or if you're having sex. You know,
Yes.
that's the meaning of the word nakedness is and the covering. The covering is to cover you, clean you. That's the cleanliness. Even it says that God's word will cover you. Well, that covering is also another word for cleaning you.
Yes.
So when it says that his sons brought in the blanket to cover their father's nakedness, that word nakedness means that his son Ham had sex with not his father, because a lot of people, oh, if it means nakedness, that means that he had sex with his dad. No, 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 no. Anything that belonged to your father, his wife, his slave, or anything was property of your father.
Yeah.
So to see your father's nakedness meant you had sex with his slave girl or his wife. So that terminology, Ham saw his father's nakedness, and when Noah woke up drunk, he found what his younger son had done, and he looked at Nama. It doesn't say it, but there is nobody else that would be giving a birth. Understand?
Yeah.
So you could look at the sons of the wife of Shem, the wife of Japheth, or the wife of Ham. It doesn't say that they're giving birth or that they're pregnant. It just says that Noah woke up, he saw what his younger son had done, and he said, "Cursed be Canaan, a slave of slaves." So if everybody has died in the flood, where's the slave at? How can
Yeah.
this man be a slave of slaves if there is no slave there? But there is. It's Nama in Tubal Cain. It's just not written there. It's written previously where they mention those names. That's why it's important. Anytime a name is mentioned, especially a female, that's going to follow. That female is going to be in the next chapters later on. She'll be following in it.
Yeah. She will be important.
So he had sex. Basically he had sex with Nama. Nama got pregnant. Nama carrying that gene of Cain that God added the mark to the Tav to Cain, had that gene. So then that gene gets passed on to Nama. The flood took place. It was supposed to be destroyed, that gene. But here comes Ham having sex with her. Now a baby's born, and that baby carries the gene now again. It takes 10 generations for that gene to appear in the human genome. So what takes place is that added Tav was melanin. Even today, even the Africans themselves, they call themselves and they know themselves by Canaanite. They even tried to say that Canaan used to be where they lived before God took Israel there, and basically Israel kicked out all the Canaanites. And where did those Canaanites go to? That's the question. See, if you look at the story about Africa, how history tells you a story about Africa, in those days, in that time period, you would not find a human being wandering around in the Sahara. You would die. There's no water, there's no food. If there's no water, no food, a human is not going to sit there and live. They can't live there. So if people try to say in history, like, oh, we all migrated, we came out of Africa, Africa has no food. And there never was anything there. Human beings could not have come from there because they could not have survived and spread all around the earth that way. So that has to be a lie from the History Channel, created a false scenario so that people, what they're doing now, like for in America, what they're trying to promote. I don't want to talk much about it, but because I wanted to discuss this. But when they say that they migrated from there, there is nobody living there. Even if you read in the stories that the Egyptians have about the upper and the lower Nile, the lower Nile was pretty much the populated area. Outside of the lower Nile, there was nobody living there. Nobody living in the desert. It was nothing but wild beasts is what lived there. And then what happened is the Canaanite group lived in Canaan. And here's what people don't understand. They say, like Palestinians, they say, oh, we've always lived there. This is our land. We've always. No, you haven't. Because if you're not a Canaanite, you can't say that you were there even when Israel was conquering the place. Because Israel was conquering Canaanites, not Philistines yet. So you weren't even in Palestine at all, Palestinians, because you were in Philistia still. on the border over there on the Mediterranean River in a little bitty sliver of land. All of Israel at one time. And if you read in Abraham's story, it even says that Abraham went to the Canaanite land, and he had a great battle because Lot got stolen. So there's a great battle going on, and then you hear about the king of Salem. So there's the Melchizedek is there at this place called Salem, which is in Canaan. So he's surrounded. Here's a guy surrounded by all these Canaanites, a priest that's surrounded by Canaanites. And they all had their god called El. Meanwhile, Melchizedek had a different god, and this God was the Most High God. That's what he called it. It wasn't called Allah. It wasn't called Yahweh. Those are declarations. His declaration was the Most High God. That was the name that he gave him. So if they try to say that Africans were in Africa and all the people migrated out of Africa, that's a lie. The only place in Africa at the time that was inhabited was at the top of the Mediterranean of Africa, which was mostly consisted of Moroccans and the children of the direct lineage of Adam, because they're all negative blood. That's how you can find different. You can find the direct lineages to Adam because of negative blood. So those people, the Moroccans and the Berbers, they all lived at the top part over there. Then the Egyptians lived down there. When people say that's word Cushite Ethiopian, and they say that, remember, like in King Solomon, they say that the Queen Sheba came to visit Solomon from Ethiopia. If I were to say that to you, what color would you think that Sheba was?
Black.
But it's not true, because at that time period, Ethiopia, there was no Africans. The Canaanites lived in Canaan, not Ethiopia. Ethiopia was inhabited by the Moroccans and the Berbers. So when you really look at that story, when it says that the queen of Ethiopia, when she came to visit him, and this is where the African's going to get mad, because this is where the African tries to claim that they are of the lineage. Some of them are of lineage of King Solomon, because King Solomon supposedly had a baby by this Queen of Sheba. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically still an Ethiopian legend right now.
Yeah, but that's not an African. See, that's where they're false, is because the Ethiopian at the time was not African. You were not a Cushite. If Cushites you found a Cushite in Egypt as a slave. That's where the Cushites were. But before in Ethiopia, Ethiopian was not black people. That was Moroccans and Berbers and all of Adam's children that came from the Atlantis at one time. There was Atlantis, what they used to call Atlantis. There was a great city that when the volcano took place, it went deep into the Mediterranean Ocean. And they actually have documents from Egypt about a group of people that lived in the middle of the Mediterranean island that were very intelligent, smart, beyond their time. And these people would come and visit in Egypt all the time and trade with them. And then they would go back. They were called seafaring people. They used to do boats as well. They were really good boat people. So the Philistines are not the Canaanite, and the Canaanite was in Canaan, hence the name Canaan. So when God told Israel, go conquer Canaan, where did all those people go to now? They couldn't have gone to Syria, because that was inhabited already. They couldn't have gone to Iran. That was inhabited. They couldn't go to any other place because there were already people there. So where did the African have to go to? Where did the Canaanite have to go to? The other side of Egypt.
Yeah.
In Africa itself. And because in Africa, like here's what people don't understand about this group, and it has nothing to do with racism. This is just a word of God that has some truth into it that people don't want to follow and don't want to hear because of this stupid racism that people have in the world. When wicked corruption has nothing to do with race, because all races can become corrupt. But within the Canaanite mind frame, Noah, because of his curse, he said slave of slaves. So because of that reason of that curse, when they all got kicked out and migrated, all that slavery was going on amongst their own people. So God basically took them from the land of milk and honey and said, you'll go over here where there's just desert. And that's where they live. And that's where they live to this day. And they hardly have any food, no nothing. And none of them will do anything to bring water to the desert, to bring food to the place. They won't do anything. And that right there should tell every nation on this earth that why are these people in this nation not trying to build or make anything better for themselves? Yet they want to go to everybody else and ask everybody else for handouts. And this is what they do to this very day. You know, this is the thing I have a problem with is why is nobody teaching these people how to fish, how to build their own stuff, how to irrigate for crops, how to bring water in from the Nile and dig a ditch and maybe bring some more water into the Sahara place. And nobody does this. And the question is why? Well, then they go to, you're stealing our water from Egypt. You're taking our water. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you look at how the Nile River flows, it flows into the Mediterranean Sea. But where's the other end of it at?
Ethiopia, and then like it has a lot of ends. One in Ethiopia, like there's Blue Nile, White Nile and stuff. One, like this big river in in Kenya and stuff. This is also a source of the Nile. So Nile is really big.
So there's
it
all
has
these
a lot
rivers.
Of sources, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking if there's no rain in one part, the mountains won't get rain. They won't fall down the rivers. If they dig an irrigation ditch, maybe they'll be accused of stealing water. You know how Palestinians and Israelis fight over their
there's
water.
like a big issue right now, like where Ethiopia is damming the Nile, and they're paying off Sudan. So Sudan doesn't say anything, but Egyptians, like Egypt, is very pissed at them, and they're threatening with war and stuff. They don't stop it, and then there's one. There could be a war happening soon.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. What these Canaanite people are going to be a great problem very soon, and people are not realizing it because here in America, man, they're trying to raise them up big time. You see, Joe Biden, he wants to nominate a African judge on our Supreme Court. I believe that's going to be a big problem in our land. Very soon. If it happens, it's going to be huge.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a problem at first, but if he is a good judge, he can be a judge. Like, yeah, but all these people in the politics are corrupt anyway. So getting one
you're getting corrupt politician,
and then you're getting one who knows how to be corrupt.
You're getting a corrupt politician who's black, who calls racism and whines about the slavery when it's their own people. You're going to get this in America, and this is going. And because America is full of every
I think
nation,
what's happening is like the Democrats. The Democrats don't have a lot of support, and now they're getting one black guy in and saying, or woman, like saying, if you say something against her or him, and like, now you're racist, now we won. Like, I think that's the Trump cards, what they're trying to get. No, because you can't say anything against them.
I believe that, and in all honesty, I believe Trump's behind all this. I really do. I believe Trump, even though they pretend like they're arguing with each other, I believe Trump is behind all of this. Because if he gets elected in 2024 again, everybody's going to see clearly, because the next 4 years of his stuff, everybody's going to really see what's really going to be happening. Because if you look at some of his stuff, he loves Elon Musk. Trump loves Elon Musk. Well, we know why. He would benefit from this stuff with his corporations. Trump would benefit from him. And you see Trump always with this mentality that, like one time he got on stage, I remember he's, black people love me. Black people love me. You know how he said that before?
And stuff,
yeah. So right there, I think that it's Trump is the character that's behind all of this nonsense, but they're wanting it to fall on Biden so that people won't know that it's Trump.
I mean, if you look at Biden, like, so he's just a puppet. Like, it's like Biden is the most obvious puppet ever. Like, he can't even, like, he's sleeping all the time. He can't even walk right, and it wouldn't wonder me. Like, did you watch the episode in Family Guy where, like this guy in like in a wheelchair, wants to walk, and then his friend is getting behind him and holding him in a way that he's walking, but it looks like the
Oh
guy.
yeah, I seen
Yeah, and
that.
that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
basically how Joe Biden is like. That's how I imagine Joe
yeah.
Biden
That's
right
all of it.
now. Yeah,
Well, that's all politicians
yeah,
are controlled by the corporations.
yeah.
That's what's really in control is the corporations.
And I
But
mean,
the
you can like the most obvious, like if you say, "Oh, there's a conspiracy," like look at FDA. It's like it's open. Like they say, 40% of the income of the FDA comes from, from the corporations that pay them to like you need to pay tax on approval of the medicaments and stuff. And
yeah,
they're getting 40% of the income by these medications, so by the approval of this medication. So I don't think these people are unbiased. Like that's really obvious now. Like if they get half of the
yeah,
income from corporations, I don't think they will, like at least they will work half as much of the time for corporations. And you can see that in the prices and stuff.
yeah. So we have the elections. If you see, notice the elections are coming 2022 in America. We have elections for our
Midterm,
house
yeah.
again. And what you're noticing, and this is going to come out, I don't know if it's come out
I
in
mean,
other
yeah,
nations
but
yet,
I'm.
but yesterday,
Mhm.
well, yesterday there was footage released, a video was released where they caught the Democratic Party bringing a whole bunch of illegal immigrants fly, as a matter using taxpayer money for airplane tickets, flying all these illegal immigrants into New York and different places all around. And I believe this is their setup to create voter fraud again
Oh, yeah, that's.
to keep the
Yeah,
house.
the Belarus did something similar like a few months ago. Like when Belarus paid the Syrian people, refugees, to come to Belarus, and then he said to them like, "Come here, we will give you money, and we will send you to Europe." And now there's a
Yeah,
big border and stuff at like big, uh, like wall and stuff between Poland and Belarus. So yeah, they
yeah.
they found it in the Democrats, and like they thought, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that too.
You know, they have a thing where is it at? I don't know if you can look it up because we're on
Yeah.
this, but they have a thing that talks about what was it? Trying to think of the verse or where it's at. I can't remember. My shoulder bothering me. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's twitching. I can feel it twitching kind of, so it makes me forget what I was doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, what they're doing is that they're going to commit that voter fraud so that way the House can't be taken over, because once the House gets taken back over from American citizens, if we can take the House back over again, then the Democratic Party has no say so in this
I mean,
government
they don't
anymore.
even have say now. Like now already, like they can barely pass bills and stuff. And if they pass something, just because the president forced it to, like the president has
Oh
powers to
no, no, they
force.
have passed. What they don't tell you in your media is they don't show everything they're passing.
Yeah.
They have actually forced 40 agendas in the House.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, if they pass
They
something,
forced
they
it.
pass it by forcing it. Like see, not
Yeah,
even the Democrats are voting for the bills of Joe Biden and stuff. So like they're like nobody likes him. He was like, because he was like people saw Trump as the bigger threat. Oh, everyone voted for Joe Biden, and now you see, oh, maybe Trump was a better option here. Like this was with Hillary Clinton too. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
it just says something about politics if your best option is just lesser evil.
They're all buddies though. They all, like I said, they all go
Yeah.
back out to eat later on. They go to the restaurant and meet up to go eat.
Yeah.
That's their culture.
I
That's the
mean,
rich culture.
I mean it. Yeah, I mean, if the people would realize that like they dividing themselves is like not benefiting anybody but the people in power, maybe they would realize that like everything they're fighting for against is basically just happening because they're divided.
Yeah. So tell me this, on your media in Germany,
Yes.
what is being said about the Ukraine stuff? What do they say different than America? Is it
Wait.
happening or not? Because I saw a tweet from Ukraine president.
Yeah,
He said
okay,
that they're
okay,
still
here.
worried
Here,
we're not being invaded.
everything, Ukraine. SPD is searching for a new way of interacting with Russia. Russian diplomats kicked out. Lukashenko is saying if you want peace, you need to be ready for war. And yeah, that was it. There's other big free new stuff. Oh, and Germany, the Bundeswehr is expanding its station in Iraq. So yeah. So this is
So they're
basically
saying the same thing, same fake news,
yeah,
same fake news going on, I guess, then all over the place.
yeah. I mean, they're all owned by the same governments, same corporations.
Well, the Federal Reserve owns all of them to begin with.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to be funding this if this war happens. Who's going to be funding Russia? Who's going to be funding Ukraine? The Fed?
I mean,
Yeah.
Ukraine is funded by the West, and Russia, I don't know. Like, it seems that they have their
No, no, no.
own.
We don't. We only have one bank. We only have one bank that everybody borrows their money from. It's called the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
The same Federal Reserve that funded Hitler also funded America.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering is how in the world does NATO and the UN allow the Zionist Jews that they're in control of the Federal Reserve to create war and back both sides? That's what I don't get about anybody in the world to wake up to say, wait a minute. No, you're not going to sit there and fund either side. You're going to sit there as a stagnant water, and you're not going to do a damn thing, Fed.
Yeah.
Then let's see how the war turns out. Let's see if Russia wants to take the chance of doing something or Ukraine take the chance of doing something, because the recovery of war, if there's no Fed back, you're not going to recover from it.
If you're honest, without
You're going to be like Germany after World War II.
Yeah, I mean, if you're honest, without the bank stuff, like we already like most nations are already like in debt. So like we basically have no money. So with what are you going to war with? Like you don't have money, so they're creating money out of I mean, America has a debt ratio of 140% to GDP. So basically, they have almost 2 years amount of yearly income as like GDP income wise. They're in debt of that. Like you need two American economies to have no debt anymore in 1 year. So like you're really poor then. Like
yeah. Well, the reality is,
you can't
people
pay.
think America's
So
rich,
America
but
basically
if you're in
can't.
debt,
America basically can't pay rent for like 2 years.
right?
Yeah, and then you're telling me, oh, now we're going into war. So yeah, with what money?
Yeah, but now we have money. Yeah, where'd it come from? Yeah, Jews, the Zionist Jew printing it because they want destruction. They're the ones behind all this, creating this scenario and that scenario. We all know Vladimir Putin. We know his goal is to unite Russia again. That's what he has always been wanting to do, is unite what used to be Russia. He wants all of it back again.
Yeah.
And all of the Russians want it as well. So why in the world is any other nation meddling in anybody's business when it comes to this? We know Ukraine isn't going to defend itself against Russia, no matter how much money the Fed gives Ukraine. Their military is nothing like Russian military.
Yeah.
Russia will annihilate it in probably a week.
I mean, Ukraine, if you look at the Ukrainian military, so they're basically fighting all the time against these rebels, Donbass stuff. And those are like, they are only getting funded by Russia, and they're only getting like a small amount of weapons and stuff, and the Ukraine can't handle that. So how are they gonna handle like the entire might of Russia?
The Red Army. They called it the Red Army. I mean, even Germans know that the Red Army was nothing to mess with in World War II. They were scared shitless.
I mean,
when
Germany,
the Red Army started rolling through.
there was a saying like, if you kick in the entire rotten structure of Russia, Russia will fall. But there were like 20 doors until the structure was, like had a.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Did you see Joe
Russia
Biden?
has a big house.
Did you
you
see
need
Joe?
to kick down a lot of doors.
Did you see Joe Biden's tweet
No.
yesterday night? In the
No.
evening, he tweeted out, and he said this. At the end of the sentence, I made a tweet. If you go to my tweet, I tweeted it last, and you'll find it if you went to mine.
Yeah, I don't.
I asked him a question because his last sentence of his tweet said, if you invade or you do something any further, there will be repercussions. And I'm thinking, so you're saying in this sentence that they've already entered Ukraine, and you're telling them, don't come no further where you're going to get the trouble.
That's
and then they take a step again,
that's the same
and then they say,
thing.
don't come no further.
Yeah, that's the same thing. They appeasement. It's the same thing that they did with Hitler. You know, like when Hitler, first they take Saarland. Oh no, now you have everything. Don't more. Now they take Austria. No, don't take more. Now you have everything. Now they take Czechoslovakia. No, then they are now like, yeah, if we invade Poland now, then we are declaring war. After like Germany is like twice as big as before.
Yeah. And if Ukraine is so corrupt, here's the thing. This is why I don't believe the people of Ukraine care much about what's happening.
Oh, did you see the retweet? Joe Biden retweeted a tweet. In 2021, we had the fastest growing economy since 1984. The Biden economic plan is working. Oof. Basically fake news.
Yeah, I made a comment. To that.
Yeah,
I
that's
commented
basically
on that
fake
tweet.
news. And we are not banning
I told him he was
Biden
a liar.
for that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go to the grocery store and have empty shelves and then say, oh, the economy's booming. That's a lie. You know, if I go to the grocery store and everything's out of stock, where's the truck at, Biden? I thought our economy was booming. How come I have to wait 2 weeks for the truck to come and maybe they'll bring me some rice? You know, that's all lies. But here's what I'd say about Ukraine is, if the government of Ukraine is corrupt, we know it's corrupt. Therefore, the people of Ukraine know it's corrupt. And I can imagine that the majority of the people in Ukraine would rather join Russia than be involved in what Ukraine's government is being right now. So the real story is, I don't think anybody's actually getting to hear from the people of Ukraine. I want to hear from those people, you know, the actual people who actually live there. What do you think about it? They probably say, we don't care. If Russia comes, maybe we'll have food, or we'll have jobs. Maybe we'll have this, we'll have that, you know?
Yeah.
Because Ukraine don't have all that. I mean, if Germany has to send them 5,000 helms, well then, you mean you don't have helmets for your military?
If you look at Ukraine, everyone, like, the only thing that's you know, like, everyone is leaving Ukraine. Ukraine lost like 20% of its population in the last like 40 years or something. So, you know, like, people don't want to live in Ukraine. So
no, because there's nothing there, because the American government was there. That's why Joe Biden and Barack Obama was over there robbing the land, taking the oil. And he put his son on the Burisma Oil Company. You can clearly see, I mean, nobody wants to talk about it, but you can clearly see that America's hand was in Ukraine for 8 years. And now Ukraine's economy is collapsed and their government's corrupt. Well, who did it to them? America? You did it to them. So I wrote a tweet and I told Joe Biden, I said, you need to mind your own fucking business. Russia wants everything back. But Ukraine used to be part of Russia. Well, let them people do what they want to do. You need to come back to your own damn country and take care of the shit you're fucking up. You don't need to worry about Ukraine. I think Russia will help Ukraine. I really believe that. Because Vladimir Putin, everybody thinks he's a bad guy. Yeah,
I mean,
he's a tough guy.
I mean, the thing about
but he's not
Ukraine
a bad guy. He's a tough guy.
I mean, the thing about Ukraine is like half of the country is speaking Russian. So Putin doesn't even want everything out of Ukraine. He just wants everything to the river, like east of the river, because that's where all the Russian-speaking people are.
What is that? The Danube? No, that's not the Danube.
No, that's the Dnieper.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how Kiev is.
And I believe, well, if we look at an old map, what does the old map of Russia look like? Is it to the river?
It's west of the river until Poland.
Almost into Poland. Okay.
No, no, it's
So I
into
mean that
Poland. They had like
into it.
yeah, they had Warsaw and stuff. So, but that's the old map, World War One map. If you go World War Two or like after World War Two, it would be Baltics in it, Belarus and Ukraine, and that's the western border of Russia. But like I don't think Russia should have its entire border back. Like Baltics don't like Russia, so they should stay out. I mean, Belarus kind of likes Russia, so maybe they can come in and just let the people in. They want to come back, and let the people that don't want to come back
Well, it's like
stay.
you say. If it's like you said, if America went over there for 8 years, spreading lies saying that
Yeah,
Russia's bad, oh, and then all the Ukrainians believe this hype that Russia's a bad nation, that
yeah,
creates the fear that the people would
yeah.
just accept because America wanted to go and steal all of their oil,
I mean,
and they didn't
I
want
have
it.
Ukrainian and Ukrainian, Russian and Baltic friends and stuff, and like the Baltic people don't want to be in Russia. The Russian people are like fine with being not like they don't want people in that hate Russia. So you can understand that, but the
Yeah,
Ukrainian people are very mixed. They are like it was better under Soviet Union and stuff, and like I think it
yeah,
depends
yeah.
on how you like. The Baltics are like prosperous now after Russia, so they can do whatever they want. They're like handling it well. But the
Well, plus
nations like yeah, Belarus and Ukraine,
we
if they
got to look
want
at
in, let
the
them in.
yeah. We got to look at the children, like who were the children that were living under the Soviet Union during the time of during Ukraine, living underneath it, and then
Yeah,
those people are dead. Now you have the children now that aren't living underneath it. They don't know how much better it was because those
I
people
mean it
are not
depends.
around to
The
tell
the
them anymore.
parents of my friends like of my like I mostly have communist like like I have Soviet Union friends, so their parents mostly like they have some kind of nostalgia, but because we're in Germany, so most
Russia's not communist.
yeah, I mean I know, but they were born in a communist nation, so
Oh, okay.
so only the people like only people in my age that are in Germany and that their parents were from Soviet Union, they were all not born in Soviet Union, so their parents still know how it was there and stuff. But the worst
Right.
part,
And that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
When
the
you get
worst
into
part was
this,
the collapse, the immediate collapse, and the life after that 10 years was like horror movies and stuff. Like it was really bad.
you can see like for 8 years with Barack Obama and Joe Biden over in Ukraine.
Yeah,
For 8 years, we can only because we don't know. No one knows because no one's in Ukraine. But if you can
yeah.
ask them, what television shows were you guys watching in Ukraine? What did America give you while they were over there doing the oil stuff with Joe Biden's son? What was going on is what I'd like to know because then that would show me, well, the children now that are growing up there, what was America telling them back in 2008 and six? I think it was 2006 when Obama got, no, eight. Yeah, it was eight, right? 2008, Obama got in office.
Yeah.
What were they telling the Ukrainian children then that now that they're in their 30s, you look at the 20-year-olds now, what 20 years later, they're almost 30s and 40s. What is the view of these people now when they listen to the lies that America propaganda them? Why would you not like Russia? When Russia, everybody knows Russia would help Ukraine. I know that. Even Putin has said that. And even when Russia went and gathered, what was that one place they recently got? It became part of
Crimea.
Russia again. Yeah. So the Crimea, go there right now and talk to those people, and they say, "Oh, it's a lot better." He's trying to straighten up their roads. He's cleaning up the place. Heck, even Vladimir Putin was the only leader that was trying to get rid of hip hop out of Russia. He was like the only one who understood that hip hop music was corrupting the children. And he tried to ban it. You know that, right?
I mean, I didn't knew that, but I can understand it.
Oh yeah, look that up. That was a big thing. It was a big stink. And then all the Africans that are in Russia, they threw a big stink about it again. That's why I say we need to stop with this race shit and start looking at right and wrong, not color. Let's look at what's right and wrong. I don't care whether you're white, black, Chinese, Mexican, Puerto Rican, anything. If you're making dirty, foul fucking music, we need to ban you because you're corrupting our children on purpose. And that's a problem, I believe.
Yeah.
Even in America, if you see, like when I was saying, if this African gets into the judge, you already see that before we had an African in the Supreme Court, they had allowed hip hop to be used as an art. And that was a bunch of white people that voted that for in. And now look how America turned out because they voted for it. I can only imagine if an African gets in, is this African going to influence the other judges by the race? They want to say, oh, well, she's African. Let's agree with her this time to appease her. And if you agree on an appeasement that possibly is very bad, and 10 years later, it turns out to be hell for everybody,
yeah,
maybe we shouldn't have
happened.
this person.
Like after 9/11 and stuff, they voted in like bad stuff. Like, they gave more power to corrupt people, and now how it turned out. So you need to think about the decisions you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was wanting to say here's a funny thing about in America, what our thing is doing right now. So they're talking, we need the first African judge, right? They're saying this. Let me ask everybody a question. Isn't justice blind? Yet you want to say that one of your justices, who's supposed to be blind, can know what color they are. That makes no sense in law. If you're saying that justice is blind, then why are you starting to give color to judges? A judge should be judging based upon right and wrong, not race.
Yeah.
But this is what America is starting to be, is it's going to be racial, and it's going to create a civil war where I'm at. You watch. I'll guarantee it's going to create. A lot of people don't like this guy. But this guy got put in prison for over 50 years for crimes he did not commit. And his name, a lot of people will know this name. And his name, he burned an X in his forehead. Do you know him yet?
No.
They killed Sharon Tate. Some of his followers killed Sharon Tate on their own.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, man. I'm afraid to say its name because it's such a bad name.
You can tell me when we're not recording. So, but I don't really
Well, it's
care.
very important because he says when he was locked up, the whole time he's locked up, he was saying that in America there is going to be a race war that they're going to force in America on purpose. And everybody was saying, trying to dismiss this guy because this guy was, they were trying to make him out to be a serial killer, yet he wasn't. He never killed anybody. He never committed any crime. But because of what his followers did, they put it and branded it on him. And then they put him in prison.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And he says this every time that people went in to do an interview. He's a very smart man. All you got to do is watch his interviews and you'll see this guy is not a nut. This guy is very intelligent, even though he has no background by going to school or anything, right? He didn't go to school. He was a dropout and all this other stuff.
The thing about being smart is you don't need to be educated to be smart. It's like born. And you can teach it yourself.
Well, you have to have some degree of education. You have to have some degree to be smart. If you don't know how to read, you can't become smart.
I mean, I don't think so. Like, most people didn't, like, they were, like, Muhammad was a smart guy, but he couldn't read or write. Like, you don't need to read or write to learn. Like, just being smart is about how fast and how niche you can learn. So you don't need to, be reading and writing.
Well, we can't get into religion.
Yeah, but
you can't say religion is based upon spirit. It has nothing. Religion has nothing to do with the flesh.
But let me say
so everything that Muhammad was saying.
Yeah, just let me speak to end. So what I'm saying is like, reading and writing, it makes you smarter because it's a tool that makes you learn faster. But you don't need it to be like smart. It's just a lot harder without it because you're learning all of experience.
If you don't have reading and writing, if you go to a group. If you go to a group and separate a group of humans from childhood and never teach them how to read and write,
they're
not going to be smart. They won't be very smart at all.
Depends. Like today,
you can't. If you want to learn, you have to have something to compare something with.
Yeah,
if
but
you've
we
only
don't.
been like
Yeah,
Muhammad
I know.
and only heard one story,
yes, I know.
and didn't hear another story because you can't read or write,
that's
you're
why
not going to have the full truth.
Yeah, I know, but that's why why a lot of stories are like misinterpreted and stuff, because you couldn't prove it otherwise. But now we have a culture of internet and stuff where we can talk. We don't need to read or write. Like we still need it, but not in a way that now we can learn only by listening. And this is really powerful because now everyone can listen, right? So you don't need to read and write to learn. So even now it's not.
Well, when you listen, you're not learning. You're only hearing.
Yes, but you can learn by it.
Truth or an evidence that you can compare with. If you that's why I say it's important to understand reading and writing, because if you have nothing to compare, you can listen to a guy talk all day long. If you listen to that guy and he's the only guy you listen to, then you're not going to have the full understanding of the truth. You won't be able to learn the truth. You have to have many different stories to get the truth.
I mean, you can get a lot of stories through listening, so I think you don't understand what
you get stories, but not truth. You have to have truth from these stories.
Yeah, but
if you're only listening to one guy, Muhammad,
yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I know today it's not about back then. It's today. Now you can listen to everyone, so you can get everyone's story and stuff. So today you don't.
No, because we have censorship. We have censorship.
But if you wouldn't have that,
right.
Yeah. So
if we don't have censorship, if we can get rid of censorship and promote more of everybody's ideology, so we have things to compare it to.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. So like you said, back in the day when we had no books, we had no writing, we had none of this, we only had oral tradition. You see how bad that was, because oral tradition could be corrupted just by one person saying a complete different story than the other guy.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
we have games about we have games about that, like when you like
whispering.
So that's basically.
But I'm not even talking about the whispering. I'm just talking. Let's say we're talking out loud.
Yeah.
You're still going to be confused.
Yeah.
Because you have changed story. Even today, you look at Shia believe this way, Sunni believe this way. Yeah. Well, you're both part of the same religion. How can you believe differently? That don't make sense, people.
Yeah.
Even in Christian. I'm a Methodist. I'm a Protestant. I'm a Baptist. I'm a Catholic. Well, you're all the same. What are you talking about? You're reading the same book. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they have just different interpretations.
And this is the problem with religion. This is why I say religion has nothing to do with the flesh. Religion should only be used for the spirit. And remember, I made a video. I said, with the problem with governments and people is they have taken the religious books and then they want to run off and go pretend like they can govern with those books.
Yeah.
You can't govern the flesh by spiritual books.
You can't now because, now everyone is educated enough to understand the treachery behind these, what people interpret and stuff. And now if you use it to govern
people. Look at it this way. All the people reading the book in religion, they believe Moses had a staff that turned to a snake.
Yeah, but look, what I'm saying is...
That's not true, Baron. Yeah, everybody's believing that's not true.
Yeah,
what would happen if that story gets publicly to all the 9 billion people on the earth that story was a flat-out lie? What would happen to that whole religion?
Yeah, they would think about it.
It'd be done. Yeah. Religion all around the world would be done.
Yeah, but now...
Because we could not trust what we were reading.
Yeah, but today we can question that stuff. Back then you couldn't. That's why you could use it as a governing tool, because you couldn't... you had to trust in it because you had no option. Like, you had no option to say, oh, maybe this Nakash is wrong. I can't trust him because he's the only one who can read and write. So now everyone can...
Now you understand how important it is to read and write.
Yeah.
He's the only one who can read and write. I don't. So whatever he says is I'm going to listen to.
Yeah.
No, people of the earth, that's wrong. And that's why we're in the predicament that we're in right now.
Yeah, we need
it's
to
because nobody wants to listen to what's right, even if it's painful.
So
You know,
that's
even if it's
yeah,
painful,
so that's why I think
it should be.
separation between religion and government is important, because like religion is not government anymore. Now religion is something different. Now the religion comes to its real purpose of governing spirit, not flesh or world. Now because of that
Well,
we have now law, which comes firstly
well, we've
from
taken religion. Well, if you think about it, we have taken religion. Religion is your government, Barrett.
yeah.
That's what people don't realize. Religion is your government. If you have a group of people in America that are all Christianity, what's the people are the living vessels, and they go inside service of this government body, and they all have the Christianity within them. What kind of government are they going to create?
Yeah, I know, but
A
I mean in a way that they
Christian-based
take everything literally
theology.
and stuff, and they don't make their own rules and stuff. Like the rules that are in these books are like for people that were thousands of years ago. So they didn't have smartphones or stuff. Like if you take the rules that are in the books and don't add new or change a few rules, like we couldn't live as a society. That's why we even have new rules and stuff, because those rules are not updated. So that's
Right.
why like how like Afghanistan is bullshit now, because now they're making up rules that are not even in the books, and then like bring the
No,
people
no,
back.
it's in the books. It's in their books, but they're books that they're reading. They're reading if people would go and do their investigation on religions, the the Quran was written and added to 3 times. If you look at the first Quran, it's that little. The second Quran is that much. The third Quran is now like this. How are you adding pages to it, man? It should have been like that from the beginning. But no, from the beginning it was like this. So what was added to this is what I want to know. And who added it? Why'd you add it if it wasn't there before?
Yeah.
Now, with the book of the Christian Bible, we know. See, this is the problem that they say that, oh, the Christian Bible's been tampered with. It's been tampered with. Prove it, because the Christian Bible is the very first book ever printed by man. It's the most read book. It's the most printed book, and it's the top selling book of the whole world. I bet you didn't know what the first book printed was, did you?
I mean it's the Bible, but China could print, but they didn't print. Like they only printed money. So yeah, you're right. The first book ever printed was the Bible. Yeah.
Do you know how long? Do you know how long it was before they printed a second book?
A few years probably.
No, longer than that. Check that out, man. That's something that people need to understand. The first book ever printed that people could go buy, the Bible, how long before another book was printed? Years, Baron. Years. Look at that. That's crazy. And when I looked at that, I was like, oh, man. Because after the printing press was created, they didn't print books. Instead, they started printing newspaper. They made newspapers for the town. All you got to do is look up what was the second book ever printed. And then you can see and find the date. And then you can find that date and the date of the first Bible printed. And you see what was really the expanse of time between there. And that book could not be corrupted for that period of time, because that was the only book around. So when I hear a Muslim say, oh, the Christian Bible is so corrupt, how? Our book has only been printed one time. Yours been printed with different ways 3 different times. No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it. I'm just getting people understand the history of what reality really is when it comes to religions and government, where they only created one book for a long time and everybody read it. It was worldwide.
Okay, 1457 was Mein Psalter. This is the second book. Wait, when is the first book?
1457. It was called what? Mein Psalter.
No, Mainz.
What's that?
Mainz is the name of a city in Germany, and Psalter, I don't know what that means. Just so it's written in Psalter. Psalter.
Okay.
And Mainz is the city
So
name.
you
Mainz
are.
Psalter.
That's very odd. Do you not find that very odd? You being a German, the Gutenberg Bible is printed, and then another book is not printed again until 1400s in Germany? That's odd. Just within itself, that's odd.
I mean, the Gutenberg Bible, yeah, it was the first. Yeah, it was the first printed, and then after that
What,
it came this book.
1300s?
No, no,
What year?
1455, I think. Wait,
Okay, 1455, and then the other book was written in 1467, you said?
57. But it's still
So
2 years. Like, yeah, it's a lot. Wait, maybe I will look at Gutenberg Bible print.
I think there's even more years than just two, Barrett.
52. So between 52 and 54, and the Mainz Psalter was commissioned in 57. So they said now printed,
Okay,
but
so
it takes a long time until it's printed. So 52 started the Gutenberg Bible, and 57 started the Psalter to be printed. So
about 5 years.
5 years until yeah. So yeah. So they had 5 years this one book.
Right. That's very weird, is it not? You know, if you look at that, that's like what? Only for 5 years we had one book to read?
Yeah.
And then along comes another book for German. What's that book about? I've never heard of that. The
Mainz
Psaltery.
Psalter. Simon in Latin.
What's it mean? Isn't it German?
It's in Latin.
But it was printed in Germany?
Yeah, Gutenberg Press Gutenberg was a German. The Gutenberg Press was made in Germany.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying so a Latin book was printed by Germans?
Everyone spoke Latin back then. Latin.
No.
No.
There's something I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to
Yeah.
tell you something. Think about it. If the Bible was the only book printed for 5 years,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden a book in another nation who speaks a German language is printing a book in Latin, who do you think they were doing that for?
Yeah, for the people
Pope.
in. Yeah, no,
The
yeah,
Pope.
for the
He was the one in the 1400s.
Yeah, for the people.
The Pope was the man.
Yeah, for the people in sciences, and the people in sciences spoke Latin because that was a lingua franca back then. Like how English is for us lingua franca, Latin was for them. So and the only people who could read and write were people who could read Latin. So they were like printing only.
So
Latin.
what was the book about?
Wait, Mainz Psalter English. Was the second major book printed. The first was it's a Psalter commissioned by the Mainz Archbishop. The Psalter introduced several innovations. It was the primary book to feature a printed date of publication. The Psalter combines printed text with two-color woodcuts, but it doesn't say what the book contains.
That doesn't make sense. Why would they not tell you what the book contains? I'm telling you, the Pope commissioned it. Anything that it says, like when you said it was commissioned, and you're saying 1400s, who ruled the world in the 1400s, man?
1500s, Pope, yeah.
The Pope. And he commissioned something specific to be written, and that right there
is a
very
volume
odd.
containing the Book of Psalms.
Okay, so it's a Bible. No, wait. Then that's not the second book. I knew there was more than 5 years. I thought it was almost 20 to 30 years before they actually printed another book that was different than the Bible. If you print the Bible, you also printed the Psalms in it. That's part of it.
Yeah, but they made an extra one only with the Psalms. Gutenberg Press, first book which wasn't a Bible.
You had me scared for a minute because I knew I was right. I knew that there was way more years than just 5. I thought it was going into 30 and 40 years. Because even if you look at the colonial times of the 1600s, there wasn't very many books written back then either to have a hold of, and that's 200 years later. And then you get Mark Twain and all them starting to write, stuff. Ralph Waldo Emerson and all them guys started writing stuff. And that was, I believe, in the 1800s. What was the third book printed?
I'm trying to find it, but it's hard.
Not showing you? Did you type in like a list of the first books printed?
List
of the first 10 books printed. That's what I would do. A list of the first 10 books printed. Ever printed. That should give you a good chronological order for 10 books.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are a lot of books that AD and stuff, because like the Chinese had long history of knowing how to print. But the thing is, the Chinese invented a lot of stuff they didn't use. Like they invented gunpowder and stuff like 1,000 years earlier than it came into Europe, but they never used this shit for like anything. That's a Western.
Well, you have to understand,
yeah.
when I say the word book, the reason I say it differently, because we had books, but they were called scrolls. But it took years for one scroll to be scribed because they did it by hand.
Yeah, I know. Like, but
so even the Chinese were doing that.
Yeah, but they.
But the first mass production.
Yeah, the Chinese had that
books.
too. They knew how to print, but they didn't use it. But the Europeans invented
that. I couldn't believe. If you know how to print and you don't use it, then you don't know how to print.
They only use it for money. So like how we print money, like the Chinese only use it for that back then. They didn't.
I think that's Chinese propaganda. I don't believe the Chinese had any damn book that they ever printed until after it started to become big to print books. I really believe that, Barrett. That's Chinese propaganda. If they tried to say that Chinese people could print during the same time that Gutenberg could print, no. Chinese people back in that day were still counting on that bead calculator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What they call that thing? That's where they were still counting.
Yeah. But a lot of our inventions that we use today come from the Chinese. I mean, the bases, like gunpowder and stuff, that all came from the Chinese. But these people back then, the Chinese
yeah, but look
didn't
at
use
gunpowder.
it.
What do we use gunpowder for?
The Chinese use it for firework back then, but we use it for war and stuff. So we were the ones who like saw the real use of gunpowder. They were just using it as party.
Gunpowder is not useful at all for anything but to blow up.
Yeah.
It catches fire. That's all it is. So the Chinese did not give you anything. They only gave you what we already had, was fire.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to explain to people. Chinese people, their propaganda, they always want to try to claim ownership of something. They're just like the African. They always want to claim ownership of something, but they never invented, they don't have. Black powder was also used by the Greeks. That's what people don't know. The Greek fire contained oil and black powder. That's the secret. Remember, the Mahdi will have a bomb. I know what the bomb is already. I'm not going to tell anybody, but I do have the understanding of what the Greek fire was. And it's a scary fucking thing. You understand now?
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to explain to you, Chinese people are liars. They did not create shit. That's a lie. That was all brought to them. That was along the Silk Road. They learned this shit. They brought to them. And it was brought, where Greece sits over here. Greece would have to go to Egypt and then spread from there into all the nations before it even got to Asia. So if the Greeks were using Greek fire, which contained that element of black powder, because you don't have no one has the ingredients of the Greek fire, do they?
Yeah.
Where's it at? Well, they used to have it in the Alexandria Library in Egypt, but it got burned up. So they lost it. The Chinese had use of it during that time period, but because that was lost, the Chinese knew how to use just gunpowder. Now they claim, oh, we know gunpowder. We know what black powder does. No, you didn't. You got that from Greek. They knew it. You understand what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
now? So history itself is full of lies. That's why when you get to the scribes, when they used to just write before they could print, they used to just write. There was many different false writings because people would transcribe. The scribes, Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. You
Yeah.
claim that you are wise, yet all the scribes have mistranslated everything. So if that's being true in Jeremiah's day of the scribes doing that, and that would go all the way up through to the day, because that's prophecy, Jeremiah prophecy, that it's confusing for scribes. So finally we get a printing press where we can actually print, stamp over and over the same letters, the same words without any mistakes, and give it mass population for everybody to read. I would think that the Muslims would accept the Bible before they would accept the Quran, in my opinion. Just based on that simple fact of knowledge can be altered by writing it, but printing it, no. Because there's billions of books to compare one another to see if it's the same book and it contains the same words. That's why I told you, when you're reading the Bible, use the King James Version or an older version of that, because you're not going to have the proper translation of those words, because they mistranslate them all the time. And then when they started printing it again, the Bible again, they took those blocks, the word blocks, the stamps, they rearranged them. Instead of writing the word Nephilim, they write the word giant. Nephilim does not mean giant. So who came with that ideology? Who told you that Nephilim means giants? If the word Nephilim, the original word, look it up, the word Nephal. What does the word Nephal, what does that mean? Because that's the root word. That's the connotation of where Nephilim come from. That's the root of it. It's Nephal. E-L. Yeah, Nephel or A.
Is
right after that word, write Nephal, then write the word fall, F-A-L-L, and then see if that shows you something.
Nephel for no.
So that word means basically what? Fall, to fall?
Oh, Nephel, or meaning. Yeah, I only get the nephew out of it. Yeah. I mean, not as a meaning, but as a correction for Google. Yeah, it says.
Write in the root. Then type in the root of Nephilim. Nephlim. Root word for Nephilim. And then you'll get Nephal. And then you'll understand what that word is. And then you can go and compare and say, well, why would they take this word and make it a giant? And write giant instead of what it really means. Even today, because they mistranslate that word, now we have people teaching humans that aliens and angels had sex with humans. And because they did that, it created giants. No, that's not true. It would create a half-breed between an alien and a man. It doesn't necessarily mean the man's going to be a giant. So where'd you get that word giant from? Fall. The fallen ones, right? Is that what it showed you? The word Nephilim means the fallen ones? And what does it mean? Read it, Baron, so everybody can hear it.
Yeah, they all say it means, giants. Mehrzahl von Naphir. Okay, what's Naphir? Meaning. Naphir. Yeah, they're always giving me. Oh, here.
Type in Hebrew,
here.
because it's a Hebrew word.
Means fallen ones.
And it's a Hebrew word, by the way. So if they're translated as giants, it can't be, because it's a Hebrew word that means to fall. Now, what does that word fall? If you have fallen, what has happened?
Yeah, you like that you were high one, like you were at the top once, so you did something to fall.
Yeah, you are now corrupt.
Yeah,
You were good. Now you fall. You're now corrupt. Well, how is a giant considered a Nephilim? That makes no sense. You're not fallen. You're
yeah,
just a giant. And we have giants today because of the pituitary gland. That goes back deeper, meaning is the fallen ones are a bunch of mixed race people. That's all it means. And as it's not special word. The adding of the lim, the m. Remember I told you
yeah,
that makes it plural. So it means the many fallen ones. So that in the many fallen ones, it just means the many corrupt. And the many that were corrupt, if you read more of what God said, why did God flood the earth? He said because the corruption of man. It didn't say because of the giantness of man. Man became so giant. He became so big, his bones grew to 30 feet tall. That's why he's a Nephilim. That's not what God said. God said man became corrupt and they fell. And now the Nephilim were all over the earth because of the corruption. You understand now that
yeah.
that translation is false. It's a lie. That the thing is who's making this? Who's doing this? Who's making this a lie? I want to know because I want to go after them. In reality, I'll go on Twitter or wherever I can find them. I'll go after them. I'll say, don't you dare lie and try to say that this Hebrew word means this. Because whoever transcribed that, probably the Zionist Jew, created that word giants is a lie. And they did not want you to know the truth because the Zionist Jew had slaves, owned slaves during that time, the African. And if everybody understood what that word Nephilim really meant, we would never have allowed any of those type of people in our nation, period. Period. Because people during that time period were following, there was only one book. You understand what I'm saying? There's only
Yeah.
one book written.
So I think we should end it here because it's late and no, we have
Okay.
already have 1 hour and 12 minutes.
Okay, let's end it then. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just give people a gist of what we like to just talk about. We talk
Yeah.
about everything and anything.
Yeah, so we
And then
just
we change the subject.
yeah
we
we
change the
just
subject
started
up in the middle.
yeah we just started a conversation and we thought oh maybe we should capture it, so that's what we did. But now I'm exhausted, so and
Yeah. But it gets deep. I'm just saying, by the knowledge that I have, it took me years to get it because I see something when I was a kid, then I see something there, I see something here, and eventually it's all in my memory because of how my brain works. I can bring it all toward my frontal lobe real quick and analyze all of it and then see what's wrong about it all. They used to think I was a savant. They actually did. They used to think when I was little, they'd send me to a doctor and they'd say, maybe he has autism and he is a savant. Because I would be in school and they would give me my work and I would be done. I do it, I'm done. And I would get a B or an A. Sometimes I get the C, but most of my grades were A's and B's and then I'd have C's. Like maybe 3 C's, the rest be B's and A's. And that's a good student. But I would always get in trouble and sent to the principal's office for talking in class. And then I'd get that spanking by the nun. The nun used to give me a whooping. But I would be done with my work. It was so easy. It's like, I'm done. I'm done. Hey, what are you guys doing? Chris, shut your mouth. Go to the principal's office.
yeah, I know what you mean. That's how
And
I
I
am
have to
too.
go.
Yeah, that's how I am too. That's that's why a
Yeah.
school system is so useless. Like it's first of all, the work that you do isn't like hard or something. You don't really learn that much. So if you have a good memory, you basically won. So yeah, the only
I think
yeah.
I think I just have a good memory because I'd play Go Fish by myself. Or not Go Fish, but that card where you flip over and then you find the match? I used to play that all the time. And I was real good at it. And that was what I did. I used to do that. And I'd add more cards. Every time I get more advanced, I'd add more cards. So that way I know, Oh, I look at this, look at that. Oh, I'm going to match all the eights or all the fours, all the queens of everything. I would find all of them. You know what I mean? And then I'd flip them all over, and I was good at it. So the knowledge that I have about, there's a specific thing I was trying to get at about the books being printed, is that it's very important for you to know how to read and write.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and if you don't know how to write as well, then you don't know what the translation is going to be. And then the people printing these books can translate anything they want into a false translation, and you're not going to know because you don't know how to read or write. Now you understand?
Yeah.
It's very important to know this. And that's why third world countries are third world countries, because the people over there have been oppressed so much, especially, go to Afghanistan, like the guy say, oh, we're not allowed to read the Quran by ourselves. We have to listen to the Imam. You can't get your own knowledge and your own wisdom and search for yourself. Even God told you to seek him. He's telling you directly, you seek me. Don't go seek the Imam. Don't go seek this. No, you come to me. But they never do that. They always stick with their imams or their teachers. And if these guys are liars, then the whole damn nation is now fucked. Because then if you get, let's say you get 8 different imams speaking 8 different things in 8 different provinces. And then now you see all the people butting heads, fighting, arguing, and bickering. Oh, no, Muhammad said it this way. No, he said it like this. No, it's like this. What the fuck you guys arguing about
Yeah,
for?
probably how Shia and stuff like happened.
Who cares what he said?
Yeah.
What does God say?
Yeah, that's probably how
Who
Shia and
cares
stuff
about all
came
that?
about, yeah.
And religious people are not going to like me because I don't care about prophets, because they have made all their little things based upon this prophecy.
Yeah.
And I tell them, why are you following? You're following prophets. You're not following God. You're following a bunch of fucking prophets, man. That's it.
That's why Hellenism and stuff and the Roman religion, like, they all fell down because, they weren't like, if we say Zeus is the same or something similar to God, then we would say, like, they never prayed to Zeus. They prayed to Dionysus or the gods that were beneath Zeus. So they don't even, like, care about Zeus. So that's like how it is today. They don't even care about God. They pray only to their imams and stuff, or their teachers, or the people who speak about God, but they never go to God directly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's their big. That's a kafir. In reality, that's what Muhammad calls a kafir. Is someone who does not go directly to God. You sit around. That's why Muhammad, in the end, they said, what's going to happen to you, Muhammad? What did he say?
I don't know.
I don't know. You mean to tell me I'm following you these many years and you don't know what's going to happen to us? I'm a fucking fool, man. That's what I would say to my grandfather if he told me I don't know. I would want someone who is telling me about God saying, I know it. I'm going to heaven. If you were to ask me, Chris, where do you think you're going to go? I'll tell you flat out, I'm going to heaven. And you say, why? What will I say to you? That gives me proof of where I'm going to go.
Yeah, God told me.
No, not just God told me. I believe in his son. That's why I'm going. Period. I believe in the image of God. I believe and worship the image that the angels worship. Oh, the Muslims are like, whoa, what? Angels are worshiping an image? What is this? What is this? We've never heard this. Muhammad said, don't worship images. Well, what's this image then? Then I said to them, well, what image are you made in the likeness of? Where'd you come from? So when you try to say don't worship images, you're a liar. It has nothing to do with don't worship images. It means don't worship many. You only worship one. There's only one God. You can't worship many other different images of God. God's only in one image, and the image that he's in looks like you and me because we're made in his image and likeness. And that has to be a man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't, that's why I don't understand people that say, oh, I can't understand it. It's like, what do you mean? How hard is of God? You would say, yes. Then I say to you, so you know what God looks like then. And as a Muslim, you say, no, I don't. Muslim, you just told me you're made in his image and likeness. What does he look like?
Me.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no way around it. And
So
that's why they hate it. They
yeah,
hate
but
it so
that's
much.
yeah, but the thing is, that's already knowledge we know. Like the Hindus or the Brahmin, like it's in every religion. They tell it all the time. It's all coming to them. Like yeah, God is not only like he's the maker, but he's also the one who is in the making. So we're all part of God. So he obviously looks like us, or we look like him because we are him.
Yeah.
But we don't have his powers because we are not him directly. We're just
We have
his making.
This was remember I told you, Yeshua has all of God's attributes of goodness. He's
Yeah.
the Word. You and me, we might only have one or two good attributes of us, and then the rest of us is sin.
Yeah.
That's why we're not, that's what I told that guy. I said, that's why you're not considered holy or uncorrupted.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the full glory of what you're going to be when you get resurrected. When you get resurrected, you're going to be greater and equal. You will be like unto the angels. Angels don't follow prophets. They tell prophets what to say. And if I'm going to become like them, I'm definitely, as a man, not going to follow prophets then. I'm going to go and find God. If I can't find God, I'm going to find the next best thing. What's the next best thing next to God?
Yeshua.
Well, Yeshua is like God.
Yeah.
If you can't find the image of God, what's the next best thing?
The one that is in likeness of the image.
No. You have to look at this manner. And levels of levels.
Yeah.
Man would be in the lowest level.
Mm-hmm.
God be in the highest level. Who's second highest level?
That would be Shaitan.
Cherubim.
Yeah.
Not just Shaitan, cherubim.
Yeah, but if you
And
go
cherubim
from
are
the
angels.
yeah, but if you go from
The
the
angels.
dimensions, like 7 dimensions and stuff, and the 6th one there's Shaitan. So if you can't go to the 7th one and you're going to the 6th one, so
Who's greater, Muslim? Who's greater, Muhammad or Jibril?
Jibril.
Why?
Because he's the angel and she is.
He's the one who told Muhammad
Yeah.
what to say. You see, Muhammad had no word of his own. I have no light of my own. I have no wisdom of my own. Anything I get come from someone else. So if people go around claiming that Muhammad claimed that, he's the one, I'm telling you to do this. No, he didn't. Muhammad told no one to do anything. Jibril told him to tell you what to do or what to say or how to do. And then we don't understand that clearly because Muhammad could not read or write what was said. So who wrote it for him? And then did that guy write it right? That's why Muhammad told you, I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I'll tell you this, go find the people of the book. They really know. They know more than me. So right there, Muhammad is telling you that Christians know more than the Muslim prophet. And the Christian's not even the prophet. But the Christian as a normal human knows more because they have the Injil, they have the word of God with them. They know more than what the prophet knows. That's what the prophet meant by, I don't know. Go find the people of the book. And in the one surah, he said, don't even argue with the people of the scripture. Don't even argue with them. Because they know way more than you, Muslim. And Muslims don't like that because they think Arabs, oh, we're the smartest. We create science. We're smarter than you. We do this. But when it comes to spirituality, you're very dumb, Muslim. Christians are way smarter than you when it comes to this because they know who they're worshiping. You don't know who you're worshiping. You don't even know because you don't even know what image, because you go around saying we can't make God in an image. And you're looking at it as being, the first commandment says, I am the Lord thy God. Who's I?
God.
But what's God look like?
Us, or we look like him.
Right, so I am the Lord thy God, have no other gods besides me. That does not mean you're not allowed to have Yeshua as God, son. He is the image of God. He's the first. He is the beginning. He's the word. He's everything. So they say that. But then you look at it and they say, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods besides me, and don't make any other images. Others also in there. The word other, it seems like the Muslims forgot that word.
I
They
mean,
always want to go, you know how Muslims are always very particular with words and
yeah,
writings and stuff. Well, how come you don't look at that and say other gods besides me? That's very particular, man, to say that word other,
yeah, that
and also
implies,
say the first word is I, the second sentence is other.
yeah,
Well,
that,
then put those two together as in the context of the language, and you see clearly God's telling you, I already have an image. Don't make anything else.
yeah.
Worship the image I already have, and don't use your fantasy or your imagination
I
to
mean,
create anything
I
else
mean,
because
we're in
it's
the
shirk.
image of God, and if you see like people, like if you make a photo of you and people are, editing it, you get angry. So that's probably how God is, too, because we're in His
Yeah,
image.
right. And we're altering his image up.
Yeah,
And if you look at the image of God in another way, it's not just pertaining to a Yeshua man thing, because if you read in Revelations, the 24 elders, they see another image of God. And what's the image that the elders saw?
fire.
No, they
Oh,
saw a lamb on an altar that was slain with blood.
oh, oh.
And
That
the
is the
elders threw
fire
off
was
their
something else.
crowns and bowed their heads. All 24 elders bowed their heads to the lamb that was on the altar.
Mm.
Now, if the elders are bowing down to the Lamb of God, why are you not bowing down, Muslim? The elders are over you. The elders are over the imams. The elders are over every caliphate. Now I ask them, and they can't answer this, and no Jew can answer this question when I ask them, who are the 24 elders?
I don't know.
Yeah, you see? So obviously, those 24 elders had to be in existence way before even what we know of as Moses. There was other people way before that was
Yeah,
prophets or something that had to have been the original elders. Because what did the book that all the prophets were reading? What was it? What was Elijah? What was Elijah reading?
mm.
Think about it. We know what book Jesus was reading. Yeshua, he was reading the Torah, right? He was
Yeah.
reading the Torah. He wasn't reading the Bible because he was the Bible. The Bible hadn't been written yet because he was still writing it. So he was listening to the Torah. Well, before the Torah was Moses, who gave you the Torah, but before Moses, there was also other
Abraham.
prophets before Moses.
Yeah.
What were they reading? What were they reading? There has to be something else. Remember, I told you there's 7 books. There's 7 seals. We only know of 4, going on 5 now. We have the 6th, which I believe the 6th is the Egyptian papyruses that were found that they don't consider a mainstream book, but I believe that the Book of the Dead and all that stuff is a mainstream book that should be counted as the 6th book. The 7th book, who has that? Well, they say that Adam wrote a book. Well, I believe that might be what the 24 elders were reading then, the Book of Adam. But where's the Book of Adam at? No one has it. You see what I'm saying? Where's that book? Because if you're claiming, like the Muslims, they claim that Adam wrote the book. Well, if you're going to claim that Adam wrote a book, then you need to have evidence that the book exists. Where's this book at? They don't have the evidence. But I can help them and say, wait a minute, let's go to the Christian. Hey, Christian, is there anything that would clarify of a 7th book? And they might not know, but if you came to me, I would say yes. There are 24 elders who throw their crowns off of their heads. They take their crowns and throw them on the ground. And they see the Lamb and bow down to him. Well, that doesn't make sense. Let's find out, well, where's this come from? Where'd the ideology of the Lamb come from? Where'd this ideology come from? You see, where's this book written that people were reading before Moses wrote the Torah? That's something people need to investigate. And I believe that book was first known about amongst the humans on a grand scale at Petra. Because Petra is full of, if you go to Petra and you look at their things, Petra has the building, Petra also has statues, but Petra also has the Kaaba rocks. Everything that's religion can be found at Petra. That's odd. And Abraham built that place with his Ishmael. You see, before it, Moses was around. So what was Moses reading or Abraham reading? Because obviously there was gods, because in the land of Ur, of Chaldea, there was in Sumerians, the Sumerians had a book called the Sumerian text. Abraham would have known about that book. Enki and Enlil and Anu, which was the god called Anu, was in that book. Abraham would have known that. But that book is not the one that Abraham would have had, because God would have gave him the real, like that book had, that would have been the corrupt version of what we have, Bible and Quran. That Sumerian text is a corrupt text. But I believe Abraham had the real book, and they go, and they that's where the Petra would have been built back then. Maybe even before. People give recognition to Abraham and Ishmael for building it, but no one has proof that they did. For all we know, in reality, Adam built that. Because it's old enough to be like that, is what I'm saying. That place, the rock itself, is old as Adam. And if the carving that was taking place inside of the rock, there's not really rainfall over there, so the rain can't chip away the rock. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you go over there and you can investigate and look at the rock, you can see the time and the date, and you can see the wear of the rock. And that rock is not worn very much. But the date of the rock itself can be dated back to the days when Adam would have been alive. Another one would be this. Another proof for Muslims that there's another book is if you go to Genesis and you read in the genealogy of Adam, it gets down to this guy. He has a son, and his name is Enosh. And in those days, in the days of Enosh, man began to call upon the name of God. That right there is another description that tells you that they were worshiping and reading and knowing something before Moses' book. Moses' book containing the Ten Commandments isn't the original. That's really not even the original. Hammurabi, who was an Egyptian before Moses was around, he had already the Ten Commandments already written in hieroglyphs before Moses wrote. Moses' wisdom that came from that's is where it gets in discrepancy, where you get to if Moses give me clear evidence then
We couldn't hear you.
that God himself
You were lagging.
told Moses
You were lagging.
this
You
stuff.
need to retell it.
Huh?
You were for 3 seconds. You were gone. You were lagging, so you need to retell it.
Oh. If Moses, which part did you end in? You didn't hear.
Moses, where he got his wisdom from.
Okay, so Moses being raised in Egypt. If they're in Egypt before Moses wrote the Torah, there's a clear scientific thing that Hammurabi, hundreds of years before Moses, wrote the Ten Commandments already in hieroglyphs. It exists. Now tell me, if that existed, where's proof that God wrote the Ten Commandments to Moses?
Only the book says it.
Just the book says it. That's right. Now, here's the funny thing. If you read how God gave that to Moses, it says how? The finger of God did what? It wrote it, but how? Did it shoot a lightning bolt like they show on movies? A lightning bolt coming out of a finger, blowing up on a rock, and then all of a sudden the rock is full of words? You know how they do in the movies where they show how Moses got the Ten Commandments? That's hocus pocus. That's witchcraft. God would not have given you books like that. That makes no sense. You understand? Deeper? There's deeper. So even remember, the Mahdi comes with this wisdom about Moses that's really like mind-boggling. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell people is Moses' staff was not the freaking snake, and God did not write with his hand to Moses about Hammurabi's code that already existed before. I'm just trying to tell people that Moses was a very wise guy. And he had so much knowledge of different cultures because he lived in Egypt at the time. He discovered a truth about God when he went to Midian. He learned something in Midian that he had not gathered in Egypt, and that fulfilled something for him. And in that fulfillment, God appeared to him. Now the question is God did not appear to Moses in God's image that he tells us he is. What image did God appear to Moses in now? As a burning bush. God, the first commandment says, don't make no other images. Don't worship no other images. Yet God himself has now created how many images has he appeared to people in? So even that seems like there's something wrong with that story. Like there's a greater, I don't know it yet. God's going to tell me. But I believe there's something greater God wants me to know about this story with Moses, and that is not fact. A lot of it is not fact. That the Jew, the Zionist Jew, has corrupted the fucking Torah that we have so much, we don't even have the original anymore. Because even then, who translated the hieroglyphs that Moses would have wrote? Who translated that to Hebrew? See, a lot of people think that Moses wrote in Hebrew. No, he didn't. He couldn't have. So who translated all this stuff? I don't know. I can't tell you because I'm not alive then, but I think I might figure it out eventually later on. But I'm just asking question to get your brain thinking to see a bigger storyline here.
Yeah.
That somebody is big time lying somewhere, man. Because we know that the Ten Commandments were older than Moses. So Moses did not give you 10 Commandments. Did you look up Hammurabi?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know that's fact, right?
Yeah, Code
that's
of
a
Hammurabi,
scientific fact.
Yeah,
that Hammurabi had the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, I mean, we can. He didn't write it on a tablet. He write it like on, like, it could like how the Romans wrote the administrative stuff on walls and stuff. It's the same with Code of Hammurabi. So we have the original Code of Hammurabi and stuff in museums. So yeah, it's a fact. And it's about laws and stuff. So yeah, it's a fact.
It's a fact. So how in the world are people claiming that Moses gave you the 10 Commandments? No, he didn't. You know what Moses gave people? I'll tell everybody freedom. The truth of what Moses gave people. Huh?
Freedom.
He gave them freedom, but freedom to do what?
Yeah, no, to not be slaves.
No. He freed the slaves so that they could go do what?
Conquer.
Resettle. No. Worship God.
Oh, yeah.
The way that they want. So Moses only brought about freedom of religion.
Yeah.
That's all he did. Because in the time of Egypt, you did not worship Aten or Amen. Because later you have Ra, you have Horus, you have Aten, then it went and changed back to Amen. And Moses was like, wow, this is all these change-ups. Let's just go find something, the original that is the best. Oh, look, there's Hammurabi's code. Hey, let's take that. Now that Hammurabi's code clearly tells us there is freedom. And it gives you commandments and laws of not to do.
Yeah.
So Moses would have got that, and he would have gone, because everybody in Egypt would have been worshiping Pharaoh as what?
God.
A son of God.
Yeah, or son of God. Yeah.
Because that's what the name Pharaoh means, son of God. Now, Moses knew by reading Hammurabi's code that Pharaoh does not follow Hammurabi's code. God does not break his own law. So why would God be breaking the, you go back to Abraham when Abraham's smashing statues of his dad,
Yeah.
right? Let's go back to Moses. Now, Moses' dad is Pharaoh. Now, Moses in there smashing stuff up in Egypt and killing Egyptians on top of it. And then he flees. So I wonder if that whole real story in reality isn't more like what Abraham's story was, that Moses, because he realized what's going on and he saw the secret, because he got to be Pharaoh's son, he got to see the secrets of the pyramids, the secrets of all this stuff. He got to see and say, wait a minute, this is all bullshit. And we need to start worshiping the way we all want to worship, not what Egyptians are telling us to worship. So then God appears to him in the desert in a burning bush and asks him, what's in your hand? Oh, it's my staff. Throw it on the ground. Throw it on the ground. It turns to Wadjet. Oh, that brings memory back to Moses that whoever has this is the true Pharaoh. So I can go back and get the people and bring them here. I can go back and get my people, and we can have freedom to worship a God that I am going to have now, which is the same God that Ishmael, right? Because in the desert with the Midians, that's Zipporah's children. Midia is Zipporah's children from Abraham. So Moses went into those people and found out about their God and found out about the walking, the wandering around the Kaaba type thing.
Yeah.
So what did he do? He gets his people and throws down the stick and says, I'm Pharaoh. Let my people go. You want to keep yours? Keep yours, but let mine come free. So they came free, and they went with him, and they go to the desert where they're walking around wandering, and they finally reach a great big mountain. Now, here's the funny thing. People say that he went to Mount Sinai, and it says that Sinai. But I think that's the Zionist Jews' lie. I think Moses walked all the way down the Red Sea over to Petra. And when it says that the sea was split, when the Red Sea was split apart, I don't believe the Red Sea was split like people see in the movies.
Yeah.
Because that's witchcraft again. Again, that's witchcraft. You're saying God says don't practice witchcraft, yet now God's practicing voodoo magic and stuff. That's not truth. So what I believe when it says they crossed the Red Sea is that word cross. Look at what's the Hebrew word for cross? Let's look that up. I've never looked that up, and now I'm wanting to know now, because there's something bigger. What is it? Hebrew word for cross.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Or crossing.
It's
and does it mean like to walk over or something?
Yeah, but you can't. Like they giving me in Hebrew random signs. I can't read that. I can only read Latin signs, so I need to translate. I can't read the Hebrew shit. So
I know. I'm trying to figure out. I know what you're saying. I'm trying to figure it out myself right now. How you can type it in to find the Hebrew word for crossing. Crossing is what we want. Crossing over. To cross over or to pass over.
Hebrew words. No, Hebrew.
For Passover, we know it's Sabbath. That's Shabbat. The Passover is Shabbat.
Wait, I have this, which would be the left. That's so annoying. Holy shit.
Because if we could find the original Hebrew word that they have transcribed, and then look at the letters. This is very important. This is the thing that I'm going to make a video to teach people about something that's crazy. You know the name of God, the word, how it's written in Egypt, in Hebrew, the name of God.
Yeah, I think
Every Hebrew.
Yeah, I took the alphabet and it's the meaning of the stuff, and it's room or R, Y, and M. Room.
RYMM. Rum.
One M, and there's this letter which makes it silent, but I don't know what it does, so it's just silent.
Well, why? We know why. We know. Look at this. Look up the Hebrew alphabet letters and meaning. That should give you a picture, and then click on the picture, and the picture should tell you what all the letters and the words mean.
Hebrew alphabet
and how they're written.
Meaning. Okay.
Because we know if that word contains a R, Y, and an M. So what is the letter R in Hebrew? What is that meaning?
Why is Hebrew bullshit
now wait a
so
minute.
annoying?
That word rhyme, that word rhyme, that is crossover, right? That means crossover.
Yeah,
crossover?
but there's a letter between that which is not pronounced as anything. It's just in there, so I think there's some meaning to it. So I want to.
What letter is that? What letter is that?
It's wait, I can send it to you. This is.
Flip your screen. Just flip your screen.
I am on my PC. I can flip it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's so small. I can't barely see it. My eyes are not good like yours, Baron.
Yeah. Crossing over. What's that? In Latin alphabet. Hebrew alphabet to Latin alphabet.
I hope you got that word right. I hope that's the word that is written when it says the children crossed over the Red Sea.
Oh, no, I just took the translation for crossed.
Okay, that should be the same, though. It should still be the same. When it's Hebrew, it's Hebrew. But the letters are important. So
yeah, I found
the first letter of that.
I found a translator. So
you're reading left or right. You know you're reading left or right.
Yeah.
Left or right.
Yeah, I found a translator.
What's the first?
Maybe I can make it into English, in the Latin alphabet. Latin alphabet, Hebrew, Latin.
No, don't, not the Latin. Don't start mixing languages.
No,
that's where
into the
that's
alphabet.
The problem.
I changed the alphabet, so I can read what's on there.
Oh, you mean you couldn't? Oh, it was not in German or Turkish or something, or English?
It's how I wrote you. Like, I can't read that.
No, but if you look up, if you just type in the meaning of the what are the letters and meaning of the Hebrew alphabet, you should have a picture. It should show you a big picture of the alphabet, and you blow that picture up big, you should see everything written in
I did that, but it's a bit weird.
Let me see if I can pull up. I have the Hebrew alphabet. Let me see if I got it. Because there's a meaning to that word cross. I'll guarantee you that. There's something bigger behind that. Because if you just take the word God, the name of God that the Hebrews write, do you know that there's a meaning of something? And it has to do with Jesus nailed to the cross. The representation of the letters mean basically that this guy was nailed on a cross.
So
that's weird.
That's the literal Latin version of it. So how you could read in Latin alphabet.
RBH is not Hebrew. Hebrew, look at this. What does the letter Yod mean? Just type letter Yod. Yod means what? Or Yah, not Yod, Yah. The letter Y in the Hebrew alphabet means what? The Y. Just type in, what does the letter Y in Hebrew mean? Then you'll understand more about what I'm getting at here, Baron. I don't know. I don't think you realize that Hebrew, the letters
represents a political promise. Yod.
And the meaning?
It represents the number 10.
Well, that's the number.
Yov is originated from a pictograph of a hand that ultimately derives from Proto-Semitic Yad.
So it represents a hand, right? A hand.
Yeah.
So Y means hand.
Oh, so should I translate it like that?
So the first letter is an R. What does the R in the Hebrew alphabet mean? And you'll get the understanding of when it says Moses lifted his hand up and the sea parted. You see how it says Moses lifted his hand up and the sea would part?
Wait. Which of that's... Now I understand how easy it was to, destroy all the meaning of these texts because,
Right. How they could have easily done it.
Yeah.
Easily. You change one letter of that Hebrew alphabet, you change the whole fucking word. Did you know that? You could change the whole word by changing one letter and the whole meaning of it.
Beif, signifying the number Beif is the... Beif represents the beginning of duality.
So Bet, but what is it representative? Like a hand, and Bet is also what? A cow? A cattle? Or what? Here it is right here. Look at this, Baron. I'm going to show you something.
Oh, a house. So...
A house. That's it. Bet is house. Because Bethlehem, Bet is house of the bread. Lem means bread is like lamb. Remember when I told you that Bethlehem means house of the bread? But the bread is also what Yeshua says, I am the bread that gives you life. So the house, Jerusalem, that really should be Yeshua. Because it's Joshua, the house of Joshua. The Jerusalem really is not Jerusalem. It's Yeshua. God saves with the Lamb. And that's the new Jerusalem that comes down from heaven, is that God saves by his Lamb. Before, the original meaning of Jerusalem was the city of peace. That's what they said salam means. But they added Jeru in front of salam. The word salam in ancient texts back in Abraham's days, selam, was two words that meant one thing. So salat, selam, salat is a prayer, and lim is the lamb or the sacrifice. So if you say salam to someone, it doesn't mean hello. Salam means peace unto you, which is the offering of peace. So salam in reality is really a peace offering. It has nothing to do with saying hello to somebody. Because if you look at what Melchizedek, the priest in Salem, did, he brought out an offering. So Salem was not a hello. It did not mean all that stuff. Salem was actually just an offering of peace to Abraham after the war that took place in Canaan when he went and got Lot. And Melchizedek came out and offered him a peace offering, basically.
So that's what I found, what the literal meaning of...
house, water. Ah, you see the parting of the sea?
Yeah.
Now, what were we looking at? The crossing over. So you just sent me the meaning, the real meaning, not the bullshit that they lied to you about. The head of the house, whose hand and water. Well, who's the head?
Moses.
Moses.
House.
House belongs to who? Where's Moses belong to? Whose house is Moses in?
Egypt.
No, God's house now.
Oh
Because remember,
yeah,
he left
now.
Egypt.
Yeah.
So now Moses is the head of the house of God. Because remember what God said about Moses? He told Miriam, don't you dare talk about my friend Moses, because Moses is good in all of my house. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Moses is good in all of my house. So then you have the hand and the water. Now remember what I told you about baptism?
Yeah.
To be washed, to be baptized. And in order for you to understand what washed with water means, you have to accept the repentance. The hand is agreement, the accepting hand of the forgiveness of the repentance, and leading the
Oh,
people to the house of God.
so the thing about crossing is,
It had nothing to do with
Wait,
voodoo magic.
I have an insight too. Crossing, and this all represents how to, need to go accept God as the head of the house of God, and then accept the agreement of repentance. And the literal meaning of that in the Hebrew letters means crossing. So you're doing all that to cross to heaven.
Now,
yeah.
Right. So they didn't cross over no damn Red Sea like people going around saying. What it meant was that, look up the word, it wasn't even Red Sea. It was the Sea of Reeds. It wasn't even red. It was reeds. So there's more to this meaning of the Hebrew letters. That's what I tried to get at. And if I can get all of this information and memorize it now, I will shock the damn Jewish community. I'll put the Jewish community, like I'm doing the Muslims and Christian, I'm going to do it to the Jews too. And that means I'll go to their city and I'll kick them all out of Jerusalem, because I've exposed the whole lie and the cover-up of the whole Bible that was printed for almost 20 years where no other book was printed. You see what I'm trying to tell you now?
Yeah.
There's great wisdom in all of this. But if you don't know the meanings of these letters and memorize these 22 letters, then you won't understand what really is being written in the English translations of these books.
So it only has 22 letters? Ooh.
Yeah, that's it. Just 22. But if you change one letter of one word, you'll change the whole damn meaning of the word.
Yeah, because the letters literally mean objects or something, yeah.
Right. Now, here's what I'm telling you this. The meaning, the reason that I believe that this alphabet is God's language, like the angels talk this, and this language was given to Moses. Nobody had this language. The Hebrews that lived in Egypt at the time, I don't believe were really even speaking this language, because it says that there was no language. It was hieroglyphs. So how could you have a written language called Hebrew if the only thing in that time period was hieroglyphs? Jew fuck, you lying Jew fuck Zionist. History teaches us one thing, and you're trying to lie to me in another thing. And because nobody except me is questioning you, everybody's following along with this nonsense. But now I'm standing up. I'm going to question this shit. I've always done it my whole life, though, Baron. I've always questioned these words, these letters. Even when I was a kid, I tried to learn the Hebrew language, the letters. I like the meaning of them. Because it was like, well, if I'm going to learn something, I want to learn. When I was the kid, I always thought, I want to learn the way they saying it. How they write it. I always knew that. Because I got that from G.I. Joe. When I used to watch G.I. Joe, they had a little thing where G.I. Joe, the two twins, they went to go find who was the short guy that was a dictator?
I never watched G.I. Joe. I'm too young for that.
Oh, okay. So Napoleon, G.I. Joe went to go find Napoleon's grave, right?
Yeah.
And in finding this grave, and I remember it stood out to me so much as a kid. I don't know why that it stood out to me, but they said something that was like, when they opened up the grave, what they said was, "Oh, look, he is really little, or he is really short, but he doesn't have what they said." So basically, it was like they were telling me, don't believe what you're reading until you go to the source. So they went to the source of the grave, and they found that Napoleon really was short, but he had a long head of hair. He did not have short hair or something. There was a big discrepancy in it, and I thought that was weird because during my childhood, Napoleon was talked about in school. Not anymore. He's not really talked about, but back when I was in the 80s, Napoleon was a big figure in history. Everybody,
Yeah.
we all read about Napoleon, you know. Now it's not so big. They maybe skim a little chapter and then they move on.
Yeah.
For me, it was like weeks of Napoleon and
Yeah, I
Bonaparte
know a lot
stuff.
of Napoleon too. I mean, he's quite inspirational. You know, like he came from. I mean, he wasn't poor in our standards because he was in a like rich, poor guy, but he was
Yeah,
poor for rich people. So yeah, I can
yeah.
understand how his life went and stuff. So I can relate with it. But I think we need to stop now. I have 2 hours, and we said like 1 hour ago we want to stop now.
Oh, I thought you already stopped the video.
No, we're already talking all the time.
Oh my goodness. Stop the video, then we say goodbye to everyone then.
Yeah. So
Again, we have to say goodbye again. We already said goodbye.
we didn't say goodbye. That's why I didn't stop.
I did. I thought I was saying goodbye.
No.
Okay.
Okay, no.
Well, goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah, goodbye.
We'll get back on this subject because this subject matter is very
Yeah,
important.
good thing that I didn't stop it because we got a lot of more knowledge now.
Yeah, that we really definitely need to know. The Hebrew language is very important, and also the meanings, because it will keep you from being deceived by the Zionist Jew, who, as a matter of fact, Hebrew was not spoken by Jews. They spoke Aramaic in the time of Jesus.
Yeah.
In that land, it was Aramaic, not Hebrew. So why
Yeah.
Hebrews are speaking, or why Jews are speaking Hebrew today, is beyond our understanding.
Yeah.
They should not be speaking it. Period. It's a dead language that nobody should be speaking. Yet, for some odd reason, a group of Zionists wanted to keep it alive. Why? Because they rechanged the Torah? I wonder. I wonder. I know,
Okay.
but you know.
So
Did you stop it?
Yeah. So let's stop. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Stop.
So
Shalom. Assalamu
bye.
alaikum.